Alright, we have a 2006 GMC Sierra. In this video I will be taking out the radiator. I found a leak over here on this side where the, it's hard to see now because the fans are on, but where the plastic jug meets with the aluminum fins. There's a small pinhole leak, so I'm going to be pulling this radiator and replacing it. I went ahead and bought a new radiator, and so I've already done a flush on the coolant system. So I did that with the old radiator in. I flushed everything. So most of the coolant, I flushed it, filled it, flushed it, filled it. I have another video on that, but anyways, I drained it. The last time I drained it, I have not added any additional coolant. So hopefully the lines are fairly empty and not a lot of coolant still left in the system. But I'm going to start by taking some of this stuff off, just get it out of the way so I can get to the fans and the radiator a little easier. Okay, so the air box is off here. For the fans themselves, there's just a couple bolts holding them on each side. So here, and pull those out, and then here on the inside of the fan, clip on each side. So I'm going to pop those out and go ahead and pull the fans out. And get this hose has a clip here to the fan, so you want to take that off, and another hose here. So take all that off and you should be able to pull the fan right out of there. Okay, so the fans are out, ready to start unplugging the radiator. So the hoses, there's an upper hose, a large lower hose on the passenger side, a few smaller hoses, and then the transmission cooler lines. So the hoses are, I think, pretty straightforward to be able to unhook. The coolant lines are a little tricky. If you've never done it, it's not hard, but just kind of tricky. So I took the one off the bottom. So here's the retainer that I pulled off. On this one I used this hook, and basically I got in under here and just kind of pulled it up, and then reached in with my needle nose and grabbed it and just removed it. It's not hard, but if you pull on that too much, it'll spring off and just shoot somewhere. You won't be able to find it. But I'm going to try to do the upper one here with just a screwdriver. So it's just a small flathead screwdriver. So here you can see the little the end, and you know, I just raise it up where I can get some needle nose on it. It's a little easier with two hands, but you get the idea. It's just ease it up, and then yeah, you just pull it right off. Now, before I did that, I took these lines and I pushed them in and out, and I wiggled them kind of back and forth, just to loosen them up, free them up. But so I have both of them unhooked. When you pull them out, you're going to lose some fluid. So I have, I don't know if you can see it down there, a bucket on that side and a bucket on this side to catch anything that's left in the radiator. So I'll unhook everything and start pulling it out. And also, before you pull the radiator, it's a 13 millimeter on both sides that hold it in. So pull those out, all the hoses, take out the bolts here, and then it should just come right out pretty easy. So we got the radiator pulled out, you know, pulled all my lines. Basically you just you know, undo all your hose clamps. So here's the top line. I just drained it down in there, and then your hoses come right off. Now would be a good time to look at all of your hoses and make sure there's no cracks or cuts or anything. The only one that gave me trouble was this bottom one. So what I did, when it's on the radiator, just kind of sitting like that, I brought my pliers around and was able to get a hold of the clamp this way. I probably could have went underneath and maybe got it. This is just how I did it. And again, I'm no mechanic. I know there's special tools you can buy. I don't have a bunch of special tools, so I just make it work with what I have. But this is the way I'm doing it. And again, I'm not a mechanic. I'm just a guy who tries to fix his own stuff. So hopefully this gives you some ideas of things you can do, or like I say, I may make mistakes in places, and you can say, I definitely don't want to make that mistake. So anyways, I got it pulled out. I'm gonna check all my hoses and go ahead and put the new radiator back in and try to hook my hoses back up. Radiator is back installed. I've tightened the bolts, and now I'm going back through and hooking up the hoses. Haven't put that one on yet, but you know, make sure you put all your hoses back on. The first one I did was the bottom one. I knew it was going to be the hardest, and it's not terrible. It's just a little harder than the rest. So the clip, where you actually grab it with pliers, was over here. So when I put it on, it was over here, and then I just rotated it around to the other side to get it keep it out of the way of this. And then when if your fan slide back on, I don't know if it'll hit, but anyways, I rolled it back to the side it was. I already put in the transmission cooler line on the bottom, and I'll go ahead and do the top one. So I think you can see it. The clips that I had pulled out, they're already installed on the new radiator. So the clip is already in there. And actually on these, the only thing you do is so let me clean this off. The only thing you do is just give them a nice push, and they should pop right in place. So you don't have to pull this ring off. Just give them a nice shove and they pop right in there. Alright, so one other thing I wanted to point out, as I was looking for my replacement radiator, you know, you look up the year and the make and the model. This one has, I don't know, 4 different options of radiators. So they have some with an oil cooler, without an oil cooler. Now these are the descriptions that I was reading as I was trying to find one. They have some with a transmission cooler, without a transmission cooler, and then also they had listed as would fit this truck, a 28-inch core and a 34-inch core. So this particular one is a 34-inch core, and it does not have an oil cooler, but it does have the transmission cooler lines coming into it. So I believe if you have an oil cooler for your engine oil, you'll have lines coming in. This is the driver's side, so you'll have 2 lines coming in on this side. Go over here to the passenger side. If you have a transmission cooler like mine, you'll have your 2 lines that we looked at over here. And then if you measure from basically the aluminum portion of the radiator from there over to this corner, that'll tell you your core length or width here. So like I said, there was a 34-inch and a 28-inch, I think, were the numbers. But okay, so I have everything pretty much put back together. I'm still missing my plastic covers and stuff, but just make sure, you know, I put the electric fans back in on each side. Right here you can see there's little tabs that fit into the radiator. So the radiator box has a little kind of little hook like this, and just make sure the fans are slid in there. They just fell in place for me. I really didn't even have to try to get them in there. And then of course your bolts on both sides. There's one there and one on the other side. After that, basically you just hook up your wires back to your electric fans, and you're good to go. Obviously, don't forget to refill your coolant. I am not going to do that here. I'm going to do that on. I have a coolant flush video. And the other thing is, you might have lost. If you have a transmission cooler or an oil cooler, you could have lost some fluid there. So probably not a lot, but it'd be best to check it anyways. So again, I probably didn't cover every little detail. I tried to cover the snags that I ran into. Like I say, the hose clamp on the passenger side bottom was the hardest thing, and then finding the right radiator. So this video is not meant to be to cover every little detail, but just to kind of show you, get an idea of what it takes. It's not a hard thing to do. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks.